Hey y'all, it's your girl Coach Kinsley. Today we're going to talk about bone density. What is it? Why should you improve it? And how can you improve it?
Okay, Coach, bone density. I'm ready to get into the thick of things.
Nice one.
It's Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley, your award-winning personal trainer and nutritionist, here to share her expertise and experience to give you a kickstart on your fitness journey. Let's get started with Coach Kinsley.
Remember to always consult your physician before starting any nutrition or fitness regimen.
All right, we'll start with what is bone density? Do you want to give me your definition? Then I'll give you my definition.
My definition of bone density is I don't really know, other than back when I was working at the university, I worked for a nursing professor and we went to this health fair. At the health fair, they had a bone density scanner. At the time, I would say an over healthy weight. One of my foibles was whole milk and a big bowl of cereal every night, and I'd watch Seinfeld. I also was not exercising. That's not good. Those carbs and those fats had nowhere to go, except, I guess, partly into my bones because I had a bone scan and my density for my age was like 130% of what it should have been. Back then, I know I had dense bones, but I also had dense a lot of other things. And I know at some point, calcium, I guess, has something to do with it. Just figuring out what that meant, I just know I had a lot of it. That's about all I got for you, Coach.
Yeah, do you remember, was that a DEXA scan?
It's been a few years, but yeah, it was something that was pretty portable, and I believe that's what they called it.
So that's the most common way to access bone density. It's going to measure the density usually in the spine, hips, and wrists. That's really cool that you got the chance to experience that. When I think of bone density and when I talk about bone density, I'm referring to the amount of bone mineral content in the specific area of your bone, which, yes, is calcium and phosphorus. So, this is how strong and how thick your bones are. High bone density means your bones are strong and they can resist fractures or breaks. That's the trouble of having low bone density. It makes your bones weaker and more susceptible to fractures.
So back then, I probably had pretty strong bones, but my bones had to carry a lot of weight. That's why they stayed thick. Makes sense.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yes. I feel like we always think about muscles growing, but we don't think about your bones growing. Your bones, they're not flexible, but they are alive and they will react to what you're doing to them, whether that's absolutely nothing and sitting around or exerting force on them like you would when you're strength training or lifting weights or way too much
Or way too much what?
pounds
Okay.
or way too much WEIGH.
Oh, yes. Today I went heavy on my lift. I was like, way too much weight? Oh, no, I weighed too much. Yes, indeed. Yes, I did way too much back then.
So that was essentially stress on your bones. And stress on your bones or pressure signals your bones to strengthen and become denser so they can handle the load. So that load, whether it's too much weight or strength training, is stimulating bone forming cells.
If I were to kind of tease that out a bit to my current older age, I did just turn another year around the sun.
Woohoo!
I have been strength training now for a few years, Coach. Been four. Oh dear. Wow. It's been a few years. And so that is absolutely one of the reasons why I chose this path at my late age in life. To take on all this stress, put myself through all this work is to strengthen my bones because I've seen through elder relatives what it looks like when that breaks down. That's something I do not want, or I want to build against as much as I possibly can while I can do it.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that because unfortunately, a lot of us don't think about bone density until it's affecting our mobility or affecting our independence.
Yeah, I don't want to break a hip because it's brittle. I want to break a hip because I was trying to hurdle a bench when I'm, 75, although I really shouldn't be doing that and breaking a hip. That's what I want to do. It's interesting. There's a former late show host named David Letterman, and he retired a few years ago, but he's probably in his late 70s, early 80s, and he's still going. He's still in show business. He has a show on Netflix, and he was being interviewed on a podcast. The host asked him, he goes, "When do you see an end date for what you're doing? Because you've been doing this for 35 years, interviewing people and being on media." And he said, sometimes I forget my chronological age. And I don't know when I can stop. I'm just going to keep going because I can keep going.
I love that. Young at heart.
That's what I want to do. I want to forget my chronological age because it's up there. And I want to put myself and my body in a position to thrive and not suffer the ill effects of old age. I want to
Yes.
fight that as much as I can.
Yes, yes, and improving and maintaining your bone density supports your mobility and your independence. Reducing the risk of fractures is humongous. As you get older, you heal slower. So when it comes to the risk of getting old and being concerned about falling, it's not the fall that's dangerous, it's the landing. If you don't have the agility to catch yourself before you fall, boom, you hit the floor. If you don't have the bone density to absorb that impact, then boom, you break. And then you don't heal nearly as quick. Unfortunately, as you get older, conditions like osteoporosis are very common, especially with women. And then it increases the risk of fractures, particularly hip fractures. Hip fractures can lead to complications like infection or even death. Like, I don't mean to be morbid, but I take fitness and health very seriously. It is life or death.
100%, coach. You're not going to get any argument from me on how infections can lead to sepsis, which can lead to organ failure and death. And it's not like you're making it up. That has happened to people in the past.
Right. So maintaining good bone density lowers the risk and can contribute to overall longevity and quality of life. And that's the training I do. We are just trying to improve longevity. I'm trying to live a long time.
That's true, coach. You're shooting for 120, I believe.
Yeah, little by little, I'm getting there.
Well, give me another year and a year after that and a year after that. I know that given my age and conditions that every extra year that I get, I will have earned. So it's just more motivation to keep going, really.
Yes, you better give yourself the credit. I could write you the best program from the best coach.
Word.
The point is, if you don't do it, it doesn't mean anything. And that is all you, Mike. And you have, and you will continue to.
It was a decision I made on my own, and I know I had to be consistent with it. Consistency over time, time under tension. Part of my story is just taking those walks every day, rain or shine, cold or warm. I was getting out and I was walking. That walking led to personal training, which led to exercise and strength and nutrition. And it was all a chain. It just didn't happen all at once, coach. And that's the thing I think people sort of get frustrated with, maybe, that make a New Year's resolution and 2 weeks later they haven't seen any improvement. I'm like, well, dude, you've got a while. That's the one thing that I did, build the habits. And then I had the best personal trainer
Yes.
who saw me not just as, oh, we're going to put a V cut here and we're going to get these arms to be this size. No, I had a trainer in Coach Kinsley that provided me with an overall life goal with non-scale victories and mobility training and cardio training and weight training and resistance training, all of it. And so that's why I'm still here today. And I can't thank you enough. And I tell the folks out there they need to go and vote for Coach Kinsley, best personal trainer, best of KC25. Go to coachkinsley.com, find the link, click and vote.
Thank you. Nominations are open. Nominate your girl, Coach Kinsley 2025, baby. But, anyways, I think you're right when people see our journey, right? They're seeing you 4 years later. It could feel unattainable. But today, listeners, today, if you want to improve your bone density, start with strength training. And nutrition can also help here. I mentioned minerals like calcium and phosphorus are in your bones, right? So eating foods that are higher in calcium and phosphorus can help along with your bone density with your strength training.
So, yeah, changing my nutrition habits included a lot of that and included getting rid of probably a lot of foods that were doing nothing for me. What kind of foods would you recommend?
I kind of want you to guess.
Guess what foods?
Yeah, just guess one. Just what is the one food?
Oh, I got you.
I know you got me, Mike.
I got you. And I'm going to throw out fish, grilled
Woohoo!
fish.
Yes.
So good.
Boom, we got it. Yes, specifically salmon.
Hey, coach, did you know there's a lot of nutrients in fish? Did you know that?
What? In fish?
Oh my, you've been hammering that home for years. It is so amazing how much nutrients are packed into a fish fillet. You can make tasty, it's just so good for you.
Yes. And it doesn't take drowning it in butters and oils or even breading it. Dry seasonings are my best friend. Behind you, of course, Mike.
Well, for me, grilling it is the way to go. Now, I know people can fry it in like an avocado oil or something on the stove.
Right, like a pan sear, but we don't need a deep fry.
No, no, not golden brown and delicious. That's not the way to go to get those nutrients out of grilled fish. Did you know that, coach? That revelation when I had that last fall really was mind bending for me, and it's improved my nutrition game leaps and bounds.
I love that. Now, for those of you that are still not convinced of the whole fish salmon thing, you can have dairy product like milk and yogurt. I personally very big fan of Greek yogurt because it's higher in protein and that will have calcium and phosphorus. You can also do chicken, which is going to be higher in phosphorus. And when it comes to leafy greens, kale is a really good option for calcium.
So, coach, that might be your next hurdle in your convincing producer Mike of nutritious foods. Not a fan of bitter greens. Don't give me kale. Don't give me broccoli rabe. Don't give me Swiss chard. Just give me some iceberg lettuce. It's just like eating radicchio. It's so bitter and tastes like dirt.
Oh my
At least
goodness.
fish, I can work with, but kale, broccoli rabe, Swiss chard,
I feel like I need a whisper. I feel like I need a whisper. Like I can't let everyone know, but I agree. He'll taste like grass.
Ugh.
It's not good. And I don't know how to make it better.
What if I had dunked it in Thousand Island dressing and made it with, threw in some cheese and croutons and some tomatoes?
The works. At that point, just like it's not even worth it, if you're adding all these other things, are you really getting on the nutrients out of there? What's the cost? What is the cost of kale? How much other nonsense do we need to make kale okay?
Coach, give me a piece of fish any day of the freaking week over any sort of kale salad, Swiss chard, broccoli rabe. I see people throw it on the grill, dunk it in oil, and I've seen it deep fried as sort of a crunch factor. I'm like, no, get it away from me. I'll have something else that's going to be tastier than that dirt tasting bitter green. Ugh.
I don't mean to be a hater. If you like kale, good on ya.
God bless you.
If you like kale, get that calcium. Let's go. Hoorah. Like you said, I'm going to stick to my salmon. I'm going to stick to my yogurt. And I feel great. And I'm happy too.
Yeah.
Kale just makes me sad.
So, Coach, before I got you off on this fish tangent, you mentioned that your favorite fish for calcium is salmon.
Yes.
Just your favorite fish, or is it salmon has particular properties that are higher in calcium?
Salmon with bones is going to be higher in calcium, but salmon with or without bones is high in phosphorus. So that's why I lean towards that. It's really packed full with a lot of good micronutrients.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
hmm
is.
And now, just to give our listeners one more option for foods high in phosphorus, if you are not a meat eater, legumes and beans are also high in phosphorus, especially lentils, chickpeas, and black beans.
So, Coach, I know you've mentioned phosphorus a few times. Is that a precursor to building calcium?
It's not a precursor. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. Phosphorus is just one of the other minerals in your bones. A precursor, or something that will help you absorb calcium, is vitamin D. Get out in the sun or supplement your vitamin D.
But if you're taking vitamin D, coach, what else do you have to do?
Take vitamin K. All of these work together. And that's why having a whole food diet is really
Oh,
beneficial, because all these micronutrients can be found in your food if you're having 3 servings of veggies a day, 3 servings of protein a day, and about 2 servings of fruit a day. Like, all these micronutrients can be found in your food. We just need to stay away from processed goods. Processed goods are not giving you the micronutrients, and they are giving you way too many calories for no nutrients.
yeah, empty calories, coach. I was a victim, not a victim. It was a choice I made. That was something that I suffered through constantly because I was all about going to the vending machine for breakfast and getting a 6 pack of donuts and a Diet Pepsi. Oh, there's breakfast. Terrible.
Look, it's so easy. It's so easy in this society that encourages us to grind, work hard, work all the time. Otherwise, you're lazy. No, spend time, cook yourself a nice meal.
All right, coach, that was a lot to unpack. And it was all very helpful to somebody who was new to learning about what bone density actually meant. So, why don't you hit us with some highlights?
All right, I got you. Let's lock it down. Our highlights today: bone density refers to the amount of bone mineral content in a specific area of bone. So that's going to be calcium and phosphorus. You can increase your calcium and phosphorus by eating foods like salmon, and you can increase your bone density by adding stress to your bones through strength training. It's beneficial to improve your bone density to reduce the risk of fractures and maintain your independence as you age gracefully. Go out there and do it. And also vote for your girl, Coach Kinsley, best personal trainer in KC 2025.
Vote.kansascitymag.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley. The fun doesn't need to stop here. Email me at coach@coachkinsley.com. You can check out my webpage, coachkinsley.com, and also find me on Instagram at, you guessed it, Coach Kinsley. Your girl. See you next week. Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley is a production of Greyhawk Enterprise, LLC.